welcome back to Down the Track. We will be continuing our previews of the IPL teams. Today, we will be talking about Royal Challengers Bangalore, the team that no one gets. I just don't know what goes on with this team. Like every season, they go all out in the auction. They buy big players, big money is spent, and then they change their system completely. The first time in a long time, I think the think tank is still the same. I think, but there was this still a decent amount of chopping and changing in the team. But at least the management is still the same. So maybe they're trying to develop into some kind of strategies are probably being worked out, and they've gone out. They've put in a lot of money on a few players that they liked, and they went all out for them. And I guess they got what they needed because they got two big buys. I think one was of course Maxwell, who got another big round of money. And then the other one was Jameson, if I'm not wrong. And then another 15 crores for him as well. So some very good, big money buys as usual. But as usual, me and Musti will be discussing and reviewing the team and seeing the ideal 11 and talk about a few of the strengths and weaknesses. Musti, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you so much. Whenever, talk about this team, I feel like, man, they're going to win this year. But, even like Rajasthan and Punjab, I feel like, they have better chances. But every year, I think they punch under their weight. RCB, to be honest, there's, they say they don't have bowlers, this and that. But I'll tell you something. Last season, we watched Sunrisers very closely, both of us, right? You saw what happened there. You saw plenty of injuries. You saw Bhuvneshwar Kumar injured. You saw Vijay Shankar injured, and what's his name? Even at the top, Saha got injured before the Bangalore game. You saw a lot of injuries. That's my point, right? But they still managed to qualify for the playoffs. They beat RCB and they came third. They could have beat Delhi as well. My point is basically that even if you don't have certain players, you need to produce something. And I think this team has enough stars. Yes, they have weaknesses. To even now, with the players they bought, they still have a weakness, which is their death bowling. It's still a weakness for sure. But they'll need to come up with something like, how Sunrisers, they just, Natarajan came out of nowhere. They need something like that. I don't know. It's not something that you can plan for. You just need to, they plan very good. I watch their social media channels and, they have some great content, and they actually show how from director of cricket to the coach to the players, how they, strategize for games. Everything is there. They're actually a well-organized club, but they need to get results on the pitch, and it's high time. They have quality players, and I don't want to say now or never, because anything can happen at any time, but they came fourth place, which is a good improvement. I would look at it like that for them, and now the next step will be at least trying to qualify for the finals.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because whenever we talk about Mumbai, you always say they will never qualify. And whenever we talk about Bangalore, you say they always qualify.
Yeah, and I get blamed for having a soft corner.
We all know that. Whoever knows you very well knows that pretty clearly.
I'm a closet RCB fan, according to a lot of people. But you know what it is? Actually, I really like the players they have. Virat Kohli is my favorite player, to be honest with you. And they've shown in the past that they're a dominant team, like they reached the finals, but there's just the last step. They need to convert it. And to be honest, like when they lost the finals, that's kind of okay because you're still performing, but the last 3-4 seasons have been poor because they hardly reached the playoffs. Now this time they did reach the playoffs, but you could see them at the end of the season, they started so well and suddenly something happened. So they need to learn from that and move forward. And I just feel on paper, AB de Villiers and Virat Kohli need to win an IPL, man. Like they're just high quality players. Without that, how is it going to be possible? But again, there's a lot of weaknesses in this team. There's some strengths, and one major problem with this team is that some of their major buys never perform.
Yeah,
and then they go somewhere else. You look at Stoinis, he's killing it in Capitals. Look at Quinton de Kock. There's so many other players you can just look at. Absolutely. Now Maxwell is here. I don't know what's going to happen with him. So it's going to be interesting.
The only good side, I guess they can take some solace from the fact that he never performs for other teams. So if he probably comes in over here and performs for this team, maybe, who knows?
That's a very good way to look at it, man.
If someone wants to take some inspiration for this Bangalore side, that like you said, always punched below their weight, a quality side. They have absolutely incredible talent. But unfortunately, every now and again, they falter a lot more than they should. I think that this is a side that should be doing much better than the numbers show. So, yeah, we can get into some of the strengths and weaknesses. In my opinion, the strengths, of course, is the fact that they have a stacked batting lineup again. I mean, if on paper when you see Maxwell, ABD, and Virat at 3, 4, and 5, that's just crazy for a 20 over game. I mean, nobody else. I don't think like I always say that Mumbai Indians have 5, 6, and 7 that's solid. I always think that Virat Kohli and ABD and Stoinis, Maxwell, whoever they've got in the past is usually the top order is pretty stacked at 3, 4, and 5. So that's again a strength that continues to remain. There's no doubt about that. The likes of Padikkal bringing in a lot of runs in the last season has helped. Washington Sundar with the confidence that he's gotten over the past few months will help. So these are some of the strengths in my opinion. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, 100%. Batting order is a strength. It's always been a strength with them. They can go big. But even with that, I think finishing the game off, that could be an issue with them. Sometimes over-reliance on Kohli and ABD. We have other teams. I'm just saying Sunrisers as well. They have a similar issue. They're top-heavy, right? But when the likes of Warner performs, the game is over. When Bairstow performs, the game is over. So maybe De Villiers needs to take that approach. Virat Kohli needs to take that approach. One of them just needs to go big from ball one. There's no point anchoring the innings and thinking we don't have anything. They need to play high risk cricket like Sunrisers do, I think. And to win tournaments, you need to take risks. And I think this season, that's what they need. They shouldn't just rely. They need to play to their strengths. But at the same time, you don't need to worry about what's coming after you. Now you have Maxwell. I think Dan Christian is a great signing.
Addition.
Well. He's a winner. He's a serial winner. He's won trophies everywhere in the world. So
right, absolutely.
I think his experience will help. He's 37 years old, but it's a short-term buy for this season. So they need to work on that. And the approach of their batting, Virat Kohli will be opening. I think he's made that clear. So him and Padikkal is a good. It's going to be a good inexperienced experience, like youth and experience is going to be a good combination. But how they tackle it and think it will be interesting. I think they need to go all out aggressive because they've tried so many things throughout the season. I think what worked for them the most was when Chris Gayle was at the top with Kohli and then AB coming one down. That worked for them because they're going all out. So I think they should just go with that and hope that one clicks throughout the season.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. That's I think the way to go. I mean, with Virat, I mean, kind of coming back in form as well in the recent series against England. He scored some good runs, so he's probably back at that confidence as well. So I think with him opening, although I think that number 3 is probably the ideal position for him, but I think he's made it very clear that he's going to open. So open with him and Padikkal is pretty solid startup.
At his best season in 2016, when he was opening, right?
When he's opening more as well, I think he's a solid opener as well. Your best player needs to get the most balls to play for. So I think that's a good tactic for them as well to go forward with. Some of the weaknesses we just mentioned, the bowling attack again looking a little bit below par, I thought. Yes, they went and bought in the likes of Jameson. They have the likes of Jai Richardson who've been good T20 bowlers. But again, I think the fact that they need that kind of support, the likes of Saini, Siraj, they kind of blow hot and cold sometimes. Especially I think both of them are very good red ball bowlers. With white ball, I think that they have been a little bit haphazard in their approach. So they can go for a few runs, but they'll have a few good games every now and again, which is a good thing. But I just feel like that support is lacking. The addition of Dan Christian will probably help with a couple of overs here and there as well. And for me, most importantly, I think the fact that Chahal has been dropped for the series again in the T20s and the whole of the ODIs as well is probably going to be a confidence issue for him as well to kind of come in, a little bit more pressure on him to kind of bowl better because if he continues to be a little bit below par, then the fact that his setup in the Indian team as well will start being put under pressure. So I think that would be an issue for him. So a little bit more pressure for him. So I think that for me is the downside or a little bit more of the threat or the weakness that I'm seeing. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the Chahal point, I was going to bring that up. I think a lack of form and the fact that he got dropped, some confidence issue, but also it could be at the other end, he wants to prove his captain wrong. He's his captain in RCB and India. So he wants to prove him that I still got this. You need to back me, believe in me. And I think he can look at it that way. He's still a really good bowler, wicket taking. If I look at this RCB lineup, particularly the fast bowlers, I feel even Chahal to a certain extent, they're aggressive bowlers, wicket taking bowlers. You have Washington Sundar who can try to control the runs, but otherwise they're all wicket taking bowlers, so it can be all or bust. They can have the team 4 down in the power play, But if they get only 1 wicket or no wickets, then in the death overs they're gonna get smashed. Because Jamieson as well, if you look at his stats, the recent New Zealand series versus Australia, he got hit in the death overs. It was Bolt and Suddy who were literally carrying him. With opening spell, he's fast. He gets that bounce and everything.
Yeah.
You could use that to batsman can use that to his advantage. But with the new ball, sometimes it's hard. So he can pick up wickets in the power play. But how he's going to bowl in the death, that's what I want to see. Like if he can prove us wrong and get those Yorkers in and contain, then that's going to be a big thing. But I felt that Morris was actually a better death bowler. But yeah, so that's what I think right now. It's a new ball attack, but with the old ball, I'm a bit skeptical. So I think that's where the problem is going to be the last 4 or 5 overs. If Andre Russell comes in, I'll worry about them. I'll worry for these guys a bit. But then, I think the likes of Siraj, he's played Test cricket now. He's performed for India, performed magnificently well. He'll have that confidence. He can just learn from his other compatriots like Natarajan. If he can get those Yorkers in and stuff, you never know. They'll have a good season as well. And with Jamieson, they can do it. So I think how Holder and Natarajan carried Sunrisers bowling, they can do it. But they'll need to learn and they'll need specific plans, but also adaptability. I feel that RCB, last couple of seasons, Virat Kohli and these guys have a strategy. It's worked for them, but then they don't have a plan B. When they start getting hit, they get worried, if you notice that. Whereas other teams, they do have a plan B. They'll get the slower ball out. They'll change the field a bit. So I think, they have an extremely good planning team, but, when things go south a bit, they need to be a bit calm and change. And a lot of that has to do with the captaincy. And I think Kohli has learned from it. He's played some tight games in the recent past. So he's learned from that. And I think going forward, that will be very crucial going into this season.
Absolutely. I think I agree with you 100% over there. When I was writing down my ideal 11, it wasn't as easy as we did Mumbai, recently. So Mumbai was, it was just so simple. It took me a minute and I was able to write it down. Over here, I had so many options. There's some very good players. I was obviously, because of the 4 foreigner rule, you can't get in more than 4 players. So I wanted to get Josh Philippe in, but I wasn't able to because I think he's been doing well, because I needed to get Dan Christian in. ABD picks himself. They've spent so much money on Jamieson, so I'm expecting them to start Jamieson. Maxwell, he kind of picks himself still, even though he's had a poor IPL throughout. So, for me, those are my 4 foreigners. So I had to kind of go in with the young Azharuddin, who's probably going to be my wicketkeeper. Now it's and then, I would ideally open with Padikkal and Azharuddin. But Virat has said in the opening, in the end, that he's going to open. So, you kind of have to keep him as opener. Then where do you play Azharuddin? So that's kind of my decisions were a little bit hard over there. And I also think, like you said, you mentioned a very good point about Jamieson being a problem in the death. I think Jai Richardson's probably a better option if you want to try him in the death. But then that's the thing. Who you're going to play? You spend 30 crores on both these players.
Is it Kane Richardson or Jai Richardson?
Sorry, Kane Richardson. Sorry,
Jai Richardson in Punjab, I think. Yeah.
Punjab, yes, my bad. But
he is a better death bowler, yeah.
Exactly. So you want to bring in Kane Richardson, or do you want to bring in Jamieson? Because I feel like Siraj and Saini are also good opening bowlers. I think for the death, I think they need Kane Richardson more. So it's very hard for me to pick amongst those two as well.
But then, like you said, what do you do with the 15 crores that you spent on him? You'll have to start.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So that's exactly what I'm saying. I've taken a couple of risks over here. So maybe we'll see how it goes. So I've gone in with Padikkal and Virat to open. I wanted to get Philippe at number 3, but because I said I already have 4 foreigners, so I couldn't bring him in at 3. And I'm not convinced about this, and maybe we can talk through this, but I have Azharuddin at 3 because he's the wicketkeeper that I want to play. I have him at 3. I have ABD at 4, Maxwell at 5. I have Dan Christian at 6, Washington Sundar at 7. I have Richardson at 8. I have not picked Jamieson in my team because I just feel like I need a better death bowling, and I feel like Saini and Siraj can do what needs to be done in the front. And I need more death bowling. That's why I have Richardson and Dan Christian to help me with the death bowling. And then I have, of course, finishing it off with Charles, Saini, and Siraj. So that's my 11.
I have the same exact lineup, same exact order, except I have Jamieson for
Richardson. Okay, yeah, makes sense.
The
only reason I'm going with Richardson over Jamieson is because both of them have been paid almost the same amount of money, so it's not really the money that matters. I think that they've gone in with the Jamieson because he's been very good this past season, so it's good. But I think Richardson has been a little bit more experienced as well, and I think that because if you see that with Richardson and Dan Christian, your dead bowling becomes a little bit stronger. with Siraj and Saini, they are not dead bowlers. You have to finish them off by the 14th, 15th over. You play them off and you mix them around with Chahal and you finish them off. And that's the reason I'm kind of going with Richardson. I mean, I could totally be okay with going with Jamieson as well. So I guess the ball is in your court.
I can't disagree with you there. I think that's like excellent analysis and you have proper reasoning. But I just feel for the first game, they're going to go with Jamieson. That's why I'm keeping him in ideal 11. We'll just keep him for the ideal 11 for the first game. But just because if he's benched in the first game, there's going to be memes. There's going to be a lot of talk. I mean, you shouldn't care about that. If I'm sure if you were RCB coach, you would have stuck with Richardson and you have your reasoning, which is excellent. But because you spent so much on the guy and there's so much talk about him, I think they'll have to stick with him for 3-4 games and then see. And if it doesn't work out, then Richardson is your fallback. And if it really goes south, then you can't do anything. You just have to accept that you did bad you didn't analyze it fully in the auction. But I think because you spent so much on this guy, and also Jamieson will give you with the bat. So I think that give Kohli, De Villiers, Maxwell license to go from ball one. So that's fair enough. Reason, because with Christian, Sundar, Jamieson, they all can bat. So it's just your three, Siraj, Chahal and Saini. Siraj can hit a odd six as well. So I think that gives you that batting as well. So it just, that balance we talk about.
Fair enough.
So that's why I think that in the ideal 11, we'll keep Jamieson for the first game. But I completely agree with you. If it doesn't work, then you have your replacement, right? What can you do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's kind of how it's going to go. And that's why I'm always surprised with the way RCB approaches the auction, because they go in for a very similar kind of they spend way too much money on certain players. I think they look at matchups more than they look at or current form or something of the sort. I mean, it is what it is. I guess they know much more than I do, obviously. But I just feel like spending 15 crores on Jamieson and then 14.5 crores for Richardson just didn't make sense to me personally. It's 30 crores of a pocket of a pocket that you have. It's a restricted pocket. It's not like unlimited money, right? If you had unlimited money, you spend in 30 crores for these two, totally understandable. But I just felt like they could have gotten a couple players here and there for that 15 crores extra. Either or, keep either or. And I'm not saying that they could have gone for a different player as well, someone with a little bit more experience or something of the sort. But I guess they know what they're doing. But
could it be the UAE pitches? Because historically we've seen, I've mentioned this already before, but in the PSL and the IPL in Dubai, fast bowlers were much more effective than spinners in terms of wicket taking and economy rate. Do you think that probably kind of convinced? And like in India, I don't know, man. There's some wickets like in Kolkata, Eden Gardens, they do help the fast bowlers, Mohali to a certain extent. But otherwise, as the pitches start to wear, spinners will come into play. That's a given, and I think they'll be more effective in this season than last season. Just because of the
and that's why you spend 30 crores on two fast bowlers. Just doesn't make sense to me. I have 14.5 and 15 is 29.5. I'm just saying 30 round figure, but yeah, that's one thing that I just won't get about RCB. Hopefully, they obviously know what they're thinking, and for the first time in a long time, like I said, the management is the same. They haven't changed anything in the management, so some consistency over there is at least. And let's see how it goes.
Yeah, and just a word on a couple of the players, Padikkal and Azharuddin. Padikkal, 4 back-to-back hundreds in the the Vijay Hazare Trophy. Back-to-back hundreds. He's been in incredible form. He had a great season. He was emerging player of the season, I think, last season in the IPL. So I think he's growing in confidence. He has already one IPL under his belt. This will be another great season for him, I think. He'll be back in Indian conditions. So excited to see how he plays. Azharuddin had that crazy innings in the Sayyid.
Most certainly,
And I feel that's why I think he should bat at one down, because give him the license. If he's out, we have two guys behind. Like you have AB and you have Maxwell. I mean, I'm not saying we have. I'm just saying the management will say that. So he just has the license to go. I think quick fire, like 30, 40, that's a big advantage. Then you have Maxwell and AB who can play different gears, right? So I think in that way, that's how I feel the team management should look at it. And Virat Kohli will anchor your innings. He'll play his natural game. Padikkal will be, I think I want to see Padikkal be a bit more aggressive, because his strike rate was 124.80 in last season. I noticed that he started off quick, and then as the innings progressed, he started, when the field spread out, he was finding it a bit difficult to get the boundaries and stuff. So maybe he should just get that license to be attacking throughout the innings, because you have Kohli to anchor. So I just feel they should go that way.
Yeah, I think it was first season jitters as well. I think that's over now. So for me to see I'm very interested to see how Padikkal performs this season. Also, the fact that people didn't know him that well, so now people know him as well. So the other teams will obviously have studied him a little bit more as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I'm also very interested to see Dan Christian. I think my player to watch out for is Dan Christian. Because I think that, like you said, he's a serial winner, and he's been performing consistently.
He's won the Big Bash with Sydney Sixers. He's won the T20 Blast with was it Knots, I think. He's won the CPL with Trinidad. He's the serial winner, and I think that IPL trophy, he'll want it in the bag, and it'll help because in these situations, I think he can also the think tank when AB and Kohli are discussing, I think his input will be effective and it'll help. So why not? I think he is 37, but these guys, especially Australians, it doesn't matter what their age is, they're there to win games, and I think as long as he's not injured, I think he can be a valuable asset for RCB for sure. And Sachin and Azhar going to play to be in the same squad after 10, 15, 20 years.
Sachin and Azhar, Sachin baby. Yeah, I was just wondering.
They also have, just to see the squad, they also have, what's his name, Zampa and Sams as an option if they need to tinker with the bowling. Sams is
especially Sam's is left arm option, and he gives you a lot of batting as well. So he could also, if they want to be really aggressive, he could be considered for Dan Christian as a replacement as well. He could be, if Dan Christian doesn't work,
So
because that gives you that option.
I think Zampa is getting married, so he might miss the first few games.
First couple of games. But I think that there's unfortunately not enough space for him anyway. But the other option is either you play don't play Jameson and Richardson and bring in Zampa, which is going to be hard to do. But that's an option that they will look at, obviously.
Yeah, and Sundar again, a magnificent few months for him for India with the bat and ball. Now it's his time to show this in this format that he can do it as well. It'll give when you can play on the test level like that, I think automatically you get a different level
confidence.
Boost. Yeah, so absolutely. I think he'll be important with that new ball. Maybe he can keep one end tight, and then with the bat as well, they might need some cameos. And he's opened the batting as well domestically, for Tamil Nadu, I think. So I think he's a good option. It'll be interesting to see how he goes as well, Washington. So that it might be a breakthrough season in the IPL for him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to him for sure. But a player to watch out for, one guy to watch out for?
Glenn Maxwell, the big show. Look, AB is 37 right now. I think he's quit international cricket. He's just a genius. So he's going to give you match-winning contributions. But he's just he's an amazing batsman.
Right.
You know what I like? In terms of shots, he'll surprise you. But at the same time, will he give you that consistency? Last season he did. This season, will he? Virat Kohli has a lot of pressure already on him. He has a lot on his plate. I think Maxwell is the guy. Right now, I saw him, the way he played against India in the T20s and the one-day series. This guy is incredible, man. He just needs to get his head straight. I don't know what it is. Just imagine he's playing in Australia or changes eating habits in India. Do something different. Come out there. If he can play to his potential 70-80%, this guy can help RCB go far in this season. And that's why I'm going Maxwell. And we're talking about Sundar. Even Maxwell can bowl in the power play. So he gives you that all-rounding option. And that's very effective. If he can get you a couple of wickets, a lot of teams have left-handed openers, left-handed players. So he can give you that option, get that left-hander out early and give you the breakthrough. So he'll be a very key player both with bat and ball, I feel.
Yeah, I think the thing with Maxwell is I think he needs to I think I think he'll do very well in CSK. You know why? Because I think he performs only in yellow. In the yellow Aussies and the yellow CSKs. That's the only way he's going to perform. But having said that, I think for me, Dan Christian, I just feel like I want to see how he performs because he's coming back after a break. He was participating in the past couple of seasons, but he wasn't being picked. But obviously now he's put in experience. He has a lot of experience. And like you said, ABD and Virat are champions already. You expect that kind of level from them. But I just, as a player to watch out for, apart from those two, obviously for me, Dan Christian. Maxwell, yes, I agree with your points 100%, but I don't know what it is. I just don't know what it is with the IPL and with Maxwell. There's like a connect that's not there, unfortunately.
Was he in RCB before? He was, right?
My feeling is he was, yes. My feeling is he was a few years back, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I don't know, but man, maybe also it might be a good change for him, from Punjab to here. Although we don't know what the problem is or was with him, there is it could be the pitches also. We don't know exactly what the issue is, but I think it's more of a mental thing. It's nothing to do with talent, nothing, because he's performed in UAE before as well. So last season he had a poor season. In India he's performed with Australia. It could be the color. You're right, yellow color. But if he can just get his mindset focused, that's it. He needs to clear everything out and just back his instincts. It's very easy for us to say that, but I'm just saying he can be that match winner for sure.
I agree 100%. I'm looking forward to it.
Where are they going? Where they qualify? I mean, what position are they ending up with?
7th.
After bigging up Dan Christian so much, I thought he's going to be like the purple and orange cap, the way you were talking. But
no, he'll win them 3 out of 14 games.
So I didn't put Mumbai Indians in my thing, so I'm going RCB.
For sure, going RCB in your top 4.
Yeah, I think they'll be 2nd or 3rd. I want to see a RCB Sunrisers final, but I'll go 3rd RCB.
Fair enough.
Give them one promotion.
Yeah, looking for. Yeah, so I think we both have our one team in the top 4 now. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I have a couple more in mind. I might have to change it up here and there, but yeah, let's see.
When we do all teams, we'll have to in the last one, we'll just kind of have to go over our top 4 as well.
Yeah, we'll have to go. Yeah, we'll have to go. Yeah, the last game we'll the last preview we'll just finalize everything. But I think this sums it up. Some really good points there, man, for RCB. And I'll catch you for the next team preview very shortly.
Looking forward to it, sir.
All right.
Take care.
Take care.